Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today it is just me. I really did try to get a guest on this week, but I was in London on holidays with the fam, and after the aftermath of the last recording I did with my mum and my stepdad, I didn't think I would do another one with them. Comedians have been busy. I do have 2 comedians lined up for next week, so yes. But I'm just going to do a short little recording today because of consistency, but also because a loyal listener contacted me, sounding a bit worried. He was like, I know you're not on holiday because it's not October yet, and it's been more than a week, and that's never happened, and which actually does sound a bit creepy. Dude, you know my plans. No, but it's also sweet and caring. And I said that I was going to... Yeah, I had a vague idea of doing a solo podcast episode today because also I mentioned the aftermath of my parents' podcast episode. There was also... I've had some reactions from people about some of the episodes that are up and that I have exposed people. Now, so today I want to take this as an opportunity to explain why I do this podcast, as well as what I consider my ethics to be and what my ethics are with comedy and with the podcast. And then maybe I'll have some random shit that I throw in there as well. But yeah, so regardless of who or exactly what the issues are with some of my episodes, I think it's really important, first off, the purpose of this podcast. So the podcast started off in November 2021. No, November 2020. It started off then as a... Well, a lot of people had wanted me to do a podcast, right? Because of my voice. They said it, not me. But also because it was a great excuse in the lockdown to speak with a different comedian every week. I really prefer one-on-one interactions anyway, in general. But it's a great, it was like, okay, here's content. I have good chats with comedians. It's funny. I'm really honest. And with comedy and with the podcast, what I think is the most important thing in what I do, and I guess what drives me, without sounding like I've got some big mission, is to share my experiences so that other people who've had similar experiences, or maybe totally different ones, feel less alone. I talk about my experiences. Now, there are people in my life who will be part of those experiences that I'm not going to censor. I'm not going to say that it wasn't this person. So, for example, my mum features a lot in both what I talk about on my podcast as well as in my comedy and written jokes. And she knows it. And I send her pretty much all my... She wants to see it, and she is so supportive, but she really understands, and she understood from a really early point in time that being my mother, she is a fundamental part of how I was formed and how I continue to be formed. And I'm not going to take her the impact that she's had on my life and give that to some other person or make it anonymous. She's my mom. And so I talk about that openly and honestly, because as I think it's really important to talk about this. I'm not going to censor my own inner circle stories. However, within that, it's very clear that I will never expose secrets of my mother's. I will never expose anything that doesn't have a direct impact on what my life has been like, or what my relationship with her is like. But I would never expose something that is hers, that is private. Just like I don't expose things of my friends. I might expose something anonymously, or even, just a friend or whatever. But I have no intention of exposing people or hurting people. There is a difference, though, when people are in my inner circle and they have had an impact on me. So, for example, with my ex-husband, I talk very candidly about that because those things have deeply affected me and are a really important part of my life. And the anonymity that I could bring to that is that's censoring my story. And I don't say their names. Of course, you could go and research and find out who my ex-husband was, but good on you. But if my ex-husband is listening to any of these things, this is my, the things that I share. It's part of my story, and the purpose, which is what I think is the most important thing in all of this, is I'm not just doing this for. Well, I am doing it for shits and giggles, for sure. It's a comedy podcast, but when I'm talking about also, painful experiences, it's sharing that so other people hear that. And there's healing that happens when these things are shared. And that's the whole motivation, that is my motivation in comedy as well. And I write that in my bio, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's really the drive behind what I do. Comedy is a platform, it's a channel, it's a media, and it's a way to bring people together, to heal, and a lot of my motivation around what it is to be a woman and to share those experiences, because those experiences have heard or received less spotlight or airtime. The woman's experience, that's why women talk about women's stuff on stage, is because that's still relevant, and it's still a unique thing. Like, we've heard a million dick jokes because men have had the majority airtime. Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool. That's fine. And so that's why, okay, now I'm moving on to comedy. Rant time. But that's why, for example, there are way more male comedians who aren't so focused on necessarily the male experience, because it's kind of the dominant one. And so they're more, they're able to talk, maybe they get more culturally fixated or silly, or they go into more, they can talk a bit differently. But yeah. I got off track a little bit there, but the point is to bring people together. Why do we talk about our struggles, so other people who've gone through the same struggles can feel that they too can survive, and that they can that they're again not alone. And I've had people contact me and say that I've helped them in some way. I don't see myself as any kind of hero. I'm doing this because I really, it can help, and particularly like pure comedy stuff. But I think the podcast, that I do have listeners, and I thank you guys for listening. But it's never my intention to expose people and to expose anything uncomfortable. And before every podcast recording, I tell my guests, you please feel like, do not share anything you don't feel comfortable sharing. This is not about making you uncomfortable or exposing people. It's about, you sharing your story and us having a laugh and both of us having space. Okay, so the ethics around it all, I think I've kind of explained when it's inner circle stuff, it's going to be shared. And so one of those positive impressions or influences I've had, I had a woman, lovely woman, shout out to you, you know who you are, who came and saw my show in Amsterdam and contacted me after listening to some of my episodes, saying that by listening to the podcast, she was, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure if inspired's the right term, but she told me that she felt strong enough hearing my story to then leave her husband. And she's gone ahead and left him, and organizing a divorce, and she thanked me for that. And that's, I really do just want to see fewer people married and happy in the world, No, but that's so cool that, regardless, there's so much that obviously is going on in her life that I'm this tiny little, thing, but that she took some kind of strength from my story, and that's the whole point. So I think the only times when the inner circle stories are shared, like when I talk about maybe my mom or my stepdad or my brother, something could be hurtful if that part of our relationship hasn't been reconciled, and if there is still shame attached to it because it hasn't, that experience, that history hasn't moved to a better place because it hasn't been dealt with in current history. And yeah, so I think I'm talking a lot of abstractions here, and I hope this isn't boring, but I wanted to address these two things right it's the whole reason I'm doing this episode, actually. But I was in London. It was so great. Check out stand-up comedy in London. I met the lovely Ashish. He runs a comedy show in Hoxton at the Cabin, the Hoxton Cabin, Comedy Cabin. Check that out. Met some lovely comedians, had a lovely set there. I'm very excited to get back to London. Very, very, I feel like the scene, I'm in a different place in my comedy career, so I feel like I've got different contact with different, levels of comedians now. It was really, really lovely. I'm looking forward to doing more shows there. And then I came back to Berlin, and so I've had 8 days with no drugs. Oh my God, but I did drink wine every day with my mum. I love, and whiskey. It's great. My parents are moving back to Melbourne, and so they have this huge liquor cabinet, and they have to pay tax if they want to take it back to Australia. And so I'm doing my bit, helping them polish off some really nice wines. But yeah, it meant I didn't really have that much of a detox in London. Been drinking every day, but I have laid off the other amphetamines. Tried 2CB, by the way, right before I left for London, and I recommend. I'm not pushing drugs, guys. Don't want to. But if you don't know what 2CB is, it's I've heard about it for years and just hadn't had the opportunity to try it. I'll try everything once. But it's a synthetic mixture of ecstasy, so MDMA and LSD, and it really is. I didn't feel the ecstasy vibe that much, to be honest. It was quite light in the euphoria, but the acid vibe was pretty solid. I was getting very introspective and some amazing hallucinations. With a couple of friends, we went down and sat in the parklands near my apartment, and that we were sitting on this bed of vines, and it was so beautiful watching this floor of vines breathe. So the light was coming through all of the leaves in these waves. So each leaf was becoming lighter, and the light spreading to the edges of each leaf and rippling across all of the leaves at once. And then as that rippled across, then behind them, the light was draining away. So it was like they were breathing, exhaling, or coming to life and then dying. And it was just beautiful. Very vivid hallucinations, very clear. And and it lasted, compared to LSD, which a solid dose would last 12 hours. I think, we were maybe high for I think we took it at 4 a.m., 5, no, we got kicked out of the bar at 5 a.m. So it was more like 6 a.m. and I went to sleep at midday. So pretty safe. I would take it in small doses. Okay, this is weird. This feels like a weird pharmaceutical ad. Anyway, I don't know where you can get it, and always be safe, and get someone you don't like to test it before you do. Okay. Also, I had a bit of I wanted to talk about this. I don't think I've talked about it with any of my guests recently. It's a new, it's not really, I don't think it's funny, but I talk so much about my love life or my outlook on relationships on this podcast, so this is relevant. I got this new aha around love recently that I want to share for all the single people out there, for all the people in relationships. I finished a book, and there was an interview at the back of the author, and that author was Simone de Beauvoir, and the book was The Woman Destroyed. It's 3 essays. I recommend them. Not uplifting, but insightful and sad and beautiful, actually. But yeah, the concept of reading an interview with a author that you love, but is so long dead. She died Simone de Beauvoir died in 1986, the year I was born. So I'm like, oh, Tibetan Book of the Dead, maybe. Nah, if I had the soul of Simone de Beauvoir, that's way too cool. But the very first project I ever remember doing in school was about Simone de Beauvoir. Okay, that's enough. Anyway, in the interview, she the interviewer. The interviewer's a bit of a cunt, actually. Some of the questions, it's like, wow, catty. Like, are you disappointed that it's taken this long to be published? Ugh. Anyway, things like this. By the way, back in the days, and probably, well, I think so, like modern media has changed our expectations of success and how young we can gain success. Back in Simon's time, they used to remind each other in, what is it, like the Sorbonne or in the intellectual circles of those times that, some of the best authors weren't published until, they were in their mid-30s. So I think that's really reassuring for me as a comedian and any artist. Getting any level of recognition before you're in your mid-30s is pretty astounding, and it's pretty standard to, get that recognition later if you are going to get any. There's hope yet, but one of the questions that was a bit cunty that the interviewer asked was naturally, as all media. Well, okay, I don't need to get so gender political, but we are talking about Simone de Beauvoir. The interviewer asks her about her relationship with Jean-Paul Sartre, and they were this like loving couple with a pretty, I don't know, I'd love to. My parents actually bought me a whole big book on their relationship, and I left that back in Australia because I was like, ugh, how to reduce Simone and Jean-Paul to just their relationship. No, that's not why I left it behind, but it was a hardback. Don't give people hardbacks. So anyway, asked about her relationship, and her first sentence was, "Love is a privilege." And I think that is something that we do not think from our society. I said to Mum when I told her about this, I'm like, yeah, because it's because of capitalism, and she was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Obviously, love has become more transactional, and individualism, and we do think that we think that we are entitled to happiness, even, or to a lot of things. But love in particular, and obviously with dating apps, it's become so transactional, and just having this, and it's a lot of what I talk about but with dating apps, for example, just this idea that we always have access to the possibility of romance and sex in our pocket. And it sets up this false sense of entitlement, I think. And so this idea that love is a privilege, like we are lucky if we find love, and I mean this, even, there are people in long-term relationships that might not feel like they're actually in this great love, and that maybe they're in it for convenience, and they've made a lot of, maybe they're not actually happy is what I'm saying. And it's more comfortable staying in that than being alone and, being vulnerable and really waiting for something that is supportive and good for you. So love is a privilege, whether or not, you're in a relationship or out of, or not currently in one, just to see it as not something that we should just expect to have. So I've been meditating on that, and I think it's helping me. And that hit me at the same time as I deleted the dating apps. And then maybe I have talked about this with Maya, but regardless, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm 35. I'm not old. But then also the idea that I connect with that, which I read again in Women Who Run with the Wolves. If you haven't read it, ladies, even men actually, I think it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. There's a little thing just about how, real, like true love, like love should expand your world and expand your life and not shrink it or reduce it in any way. And so that I tie that in with the love is a privilege, and that we can be in love relationships that aren't expanding our world, and in that sense, we've sort of just accepted something that's not that great. But when we really find something that expands our life, then that's wow, it's a privilege. And okay, cool. Really articulate today. I also have, on other news, and then I'm going to wrap this bad boy up nice and quick, guys. In other news, I bought a book. I've been wanting to get the book Sex at Dawn by, I think the author is Christopher Ryan, and a woman whose name now escapes me, sorry. that Alex Upatov talks about. Maybe, and I think he's talked about it on his episodes with me here. And it's Sex at Dawn is a book that explores the kind of the birth of monogamy, or why monogamy exists when it sort of started, and then why it fails, or the nature of cheating and how humanly natural that is, and looking all into that. So I've been looking for this book, and two bookshops didn't have it in Berlin, and the second one that I went to this morning had, however, a book that I've heard of, and it's called The Ethical Slut. Isn't it crazy that I have it? I think this is so great. I'm so excited. And it was funny because I actually was embarrassed as I went to buy it, because I was like, ethical. But I'm reading immediately, just dug straight into like halfway through and into the chapter called navigating challenges. So it's all about exploring different types of ethical non-monogamy, and navigating challenges, so dealing with jealousy and different forms. And so it seems that both the authors have experimented a lot in different relationship forms, both monogamous and non-monogamous. And anyway, so I opened straight up into roadmaps through jealousy, and I'm really excited because I think jealousy is, we're so scared of feeling jealous. And it's a horrible feeling, and I think like one of the first things it says is that we give it so much power, jealousy. And I know for a fact the last, there's been a couple of relationships that I have ended very quickly out of fear of that feeling of jealousy. So. Yeah, and I'm just quickly, I'm going to be that loser. I'm going to read something. So the very first quote it says is, let jealousy be your teacher. Jealousy can lead you to the very places where you most need healing. It can be your guide into your own dark side and show you the way to total self-realization. Jealousy can teach you how to live in peace with yourself and with the whole world if you let it in. So, and that we give jealousy more power than it deserves. And that, we live in a culture where jealousy kind of justifies, certain levels of violence, and there's certain laws, crimes of passion and things like that. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about reading this. I'm not sure if I necessarily want a non-monogamous relationship, but I don't know, the people that I have been attracted to, and my history tells me that maybe a non-monogamous form of relationship would be the most effective way forward. But I haven't done the reading, and I think a lot of us just sort of step into this blind. And why not just buy a book? Okay, cool. I think that's all I have to say today. So I'm not dead, guys. Kind of was on holiday, and I'm excited to bring two guests, one return guest next week. I'll keep it a surprise, and then a brand new guest. Okay, so guys, that has been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Thanks so much, and see you very soon. Goodbye.